In order to make America great and glorious again, I am tonight announcing my candidacy for President of the United States.
The battle for 2024 is in full swing. But who exactly will win? Together, we will look at Trump's arrest effect, early polls, and potential candidates. Donald Trump is a polarizing figure, and his chances of winning the 2024 presidential election are uncertain. Although he hasn't been president for many years, he still remains popular with many Republican voters, as well as prominent Republicans. There are a number of factors that could affect Trump's chances of winning in 2024. One factor, of course, is the state of the economy. If the economy is doing well, it will be more difficult for Trump to win. However, if the economy is doing poorly, it could help Trump's chances. Another factor is the political climate. If the country is divided, it will be more difficult for Trump to win. However, if the country is united, it could help Trump's chances. Trump's own personal behavior could also affect his chances of winning. If he continues to make controversial statements, it could hurt his chances. However, if he moderates his behavior and tries to appeal to a broader range of voters, it could help his chances. He has both strengths and weaknesses, and the outcome of the election will likely depend on a number of factors. So, what exactly is his strengths, and what is his weaknesses? Donald Trump has a number of strengths that could help him win the 2024 presidential election. One strength is his popularity with Republican voters. He remains very popular with many Republican voters, and he is highly likely to win the Republican nomination now when he runs again. His main opponent would be the popular Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who we will shortly get back to. Another strength is his fundraising ability. Trump is a very successful fundraiser, and he's likely to be able to raise a lot of money for his campaign. This money will be essential for running a successful campaign. Trump also has a strong base of support among white working-class voters. These voters are a key demographic in presidential elections, and Trump is likely to do well with them in 2024. However, Trump also has a number of weaknesses that could hurt his chances of winning. One weakness is his divisive rhetoric. Trump is known for making controversial statements that alienate voters. This rhetoric could hurt him in the general election, especially if he faces a moderate Democrat. Trump also has a growing history of making misleading statements according to fact-checkers. This could also play a part in hurting him in the general election, as voters may be less likely to trust him. Overall, Trump has both strengths and weaknesses that could affect his chances of winning in 2024. The outcome of the election will likely depend on a number of factors, including the state of the economy, the political climate, and Trump's own personal behavior. Moving on to Ron DeSantis. He is the current governor of Florida and is considered to be a potential candidate for the Republican nomination in the 2024 presidential election, although he is yet to announce his campaign bid. He is also a popular figure among Republican voters and has been praised for handling of the COVID-19 pandemic very well in Florida. However, he is also a controversial figure and has been criticized for his policies on issues such as immigration and education. It is still too early to say for sure whether DeSantis will run for president in 2024, as he giving mixed messages in interviews. However, if he does run, he will likely be a strong contender. He has a strong base of support among Republican voters and is seen as a potential successor to Donald Trump. Fox News is also seemingly supporting him. DeSantis' chances of winning the Republican nomination will depend on a number of factors, including the state of the economy, the political climate, and the field of other potential candidates. If the economy is strong and the political climate is favorable to Republicans, DeSantis will have a good chance of winning the nomination. However, if the economy is weak or the political climate is unfavorable to Republicans, DeSantis' chances of winning the nomination will be more difficult. If DeSantis does win the Republican nomination, he will face an uphill battle in the general election. He will need to appeal to a broad range of voters, including independents and moderate Democrats. He will also need to find a way to connect with voters who are turned off by Trump's style of politics. It is possible that DeSantis could win 2024's presidential election, but it is also possible that he could lose. The outcome of the election will depend on a number of factors, and we are not yet sure exactly how DeSantis would play in that role. What about Joe Biden? He is eligible to run for election in 2024. However, one should not forget the fact that he is 79 years old, which would make him the oldest president ever elected president if he wins. Biden's chances of winning in 2024 will depend on a number of factors, including the state of economy, the political climate, and the field of other potential candidates. The economy is currently facing a number of challenges, including high inflation and supply chain disruptions. If the economy does not improve by 2024, it could hurt Biden's chances of re-election. The political climate is also a factor that could affect Biden's chances of winning. The country is currently very polarized, and Biden's approval ratings have been declining. If the political climate remains polarized, as he himself has suggested, it could make it difficult for Biden to win re-election. The field of other potential candidates are also a factor that could affect Biden's chances of winning. If a strong political candidate emerges from the Republican Party, it could make it difficult for Biden to win re-election. However, overall, Biden's chances of winning 2024 are still very uncertain. He faces a lot of challenges, including the state of the economy and the field of other potential candidates. However, he has also some strengths, such as his experience and his ability to connect with voters. There are a number of potential Democratic candidates who could face Trump in 2024 instead of Joe Biden. Some of these potential candidates include the Vice President Kamala Harris, the Senator Bernie Sanders, the Senator Elizabeth Warren, Mayor Pete Buttigieg, Senator Amy Klobuchar, Michelle Obama, who seems very politically active at the moment, and even Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who would be old enough to run by 3 weeks. These are just a few of the potential Democratic candidates who could face Trump in 2024. The outcome of the Democratic primary will likely have a major impact on the general election. If the Democrats nominate a strong candidate, it could make it more difficult for Trump to win. However, if the Democrats nominate a weak candidate, it could really help Trump's chances. The media will also play a role in the 2024 presidential election. The media can shape public opinion, and they can help hurt a candidate's chances of winning. If the media is critical of Trump, as it tends, it could hurt his chances of winning. However, if the media is supportive of Trump, it could help his chances. The media will also play a role in shaping the public's perception of the Democratic candidates. If the media is critical of them, it could help Trump's chances, but vice versa, and it could help Joe Biden. Overall, the media will play a role in the 2024 presidential election, and the media can shape the public opinion. They can help or hurt a candidate's chances of winning. Social media will also play a role in the 2024 presidential election. Social media can be used to reach a large number of people, and it can be used to spread information and propaganda. Trump is a master of social media, and he has used it to great effect in the past. He has used social media to connect with his supporters, and he has used it to spread his message. The Democrats will need to find a way to counter Trump's use of social media if they want to win 2024. And they need to find a way to reach their supporters on social media. They need to find a way to counter Trump's propaganda if they want to win. Overall, social media will play a role in the 2024 presidential election, as it can be used to reach a really large number of people and spread information and propaganda for the candidate that it is marketing. The candidates who are able to use social media most effectively will have a big advantage in the election. What does the early election polls show? The early election polls shows that the race for the 2024 presidential election is likely to be very close. A recent poll by ABC News and also Washington Post found that Biden is leading Trump by just 3 points among registered voters. However, it is important to note that these polls are just a snapshot of the race at this point in time, and the outcome of the election could change significantly in the coming months. Foreign interference is a serious threat to American democracy. Foreign governments, such as Russia, have interfered in previous elections, and they are likely to interfere in the 2024 elections. Foreign interference can take many forms. It can include spreading disinformation and propaganda, hacking into voter registration systems, and even hacking into voting machines. Foreign interference can have a significant impact on the outcome of an election. It can sway voters, suppress voter turnout, and even change the results of an election. The United States government needs to take steps to protect the 2024 election from foreign interference. These steps include investing in election security, increasing cooperation between the government and social media companies, and raising awareness of the threat of foreign interference. The American people also need to be aware of the threat. They need to be critical of the information they see online, and they need to be vigilant about protecting their personal information. Overall, foreign interference is a serious threat to American democracy right now. The United States government and the American people need to take steps to protect the 2024 election. How could voter suppression affect the 2024 election? Voter suppression is a serious problem in the United States. It can take many forms, such as voter ID laws, cuts to early voting, and absentee voting, and voter intimidation. Voter suppression can have a significant impact on the outcome of an election. It can make it more difficult for people to vote, and it can suppress voter turnout. The United States government needs to take steps to address the voter suppression. These could include enacting federal voter protection laws, providing funding for voter registration and outreach, and holding states accountable for voter suppression. The American people also need to be aware of the problem of voter suppression. They need to make their voices heard and demand that their elected officials take action to protect the right to vote. Overall, voter suppression is a serious problem in the United States. The United States government and the American people need to take steps to address this. Now, the Democrats will need to nominate a strong candidate if they want to win. They will also need to turn out their base of support and convince independent voters to vote for them. The outcome of the 2024 presidential election will have a significant impact on the future of America. It will determine who is in charge of the government, and it will determine what policies are enacted. That is why it is so important to vote in the 2024 presidential election. Let's talk a little bit about Trump's indictment. Trump's indictment could have a significant impact on his chances of winning the 2024 presidential election. It could hurt him with moderate and independent voters who may be turned off by the idea of voting for a candidate who has been indicted on criminal charges. It could also energize Trump's base of support, who may see the indictment as a sign that he is being targeted by the so-called deep state. Ultimately, the impact of Trump's indictment on his chances of winning will depend on a number of factors, including the specific charges against him, the strength of the evidence against him, and the public's reaction to the indictment. There could be several possible outcomes from this. If the charges against Trump are serious and evidence against him is strong, it could damage his reputation and make it difficult for him to win the election. If the charges against Trump are minor, or the evidence against him is weak, it may not have a significant impact on his chances of winning. If the public reacts strongly to the indictment and sees it as a sign that Trump will be unfit for office, it could hurt his chances of winning. If the public reacts more calmly to the indictment and sees it as a political witch hunt, it may not have a significant impact on his chances of winning. Despite of the indictment, Trump still has a strong support in the polls and among many Republican colleagues. It is still too early to say for sure how Trump's indictment will affect his chances of winning, but the 2024 presidential election will not only have a significant impact on the United States, it will also have an impact on the world. The United States is the world's leading superpower, and its actions have a ripple effect around the globe. If Trump wins re-election, it is likely that he will continue to pursue an America First agenda. This could lead to increased tensions with other countries, and it could also make it more difficult to address global challenges such as climate change and terrorism, which is Democratic very much talked about. If the Democrats win re-election, they are likely to pursue a more militated approach to foreign policy. This could lead to closer cooperation with other countries, and it could make it easier to address global challenges. Let's talk a little bit about the Trump effect on the 2024 election. Donald Trump has a significant impact on American politics, and no one can deny that. He has energized both his supporters and his opponents. It is still too early to say what the long-term impact of Trump will be. However, it is clear that he will be a major factor in the 2024 presidential election. Trump's supporters are passionate about him. They believe that he is a strong leader who is not afraid to stand up for what he believes in. They also believe that he is the only one who can fix the problems that they see in the country. Trump's opponents are just as passionate about him in a different way. They believe that he is a dangerous demagogue who is unfit to president. They also believe that he is a threat to democracy and to the rule of law. The 2024 presidential election will be a referendum in a way on Trump's presidency. It will be a test of whether or not his supporters are still as passionate about him as they were in 2016. It will also be a test of whether or not his opponents have been able to turn the tide of public opinion against him. As mentioned, the economy is always a major factor in presidential elections. In 2024, the economy is likely to be strong, but there are some potential risks that could hurt the incumbent party. One risk is inflation. Inflation is rising at its fastest pace in decades, and it is causing sticker shock for consumers and businesses alike. If inflation continues to rise, it could hurt the Democrats in the 2024 election. Another risk is supply chain disruptions. The COVID-19 pandemic has caused major disruptions to supply chains around the world, and these disruptions are still being felt in many industries. If supply chain disruptions continue, they could hurt the economy and hurt the Democrats in the 2024 election. The Democrats will need to do a good job of managing the economy in order to have a chance of winning in 2024. They will need to keep inflation in check, and they will need to work to resolve supply chain disruptions. If they can do these things, they will be in a good position to win re-election. However, if they are unable to manage the economy, they could be in trouble in 2024. The economy is always a major factor in presidential elections, and the Democrats will need to make sure that it is strong if they want to win. The 2024 presidential election will be a pivotal moment in American history. The outcome of the election will have a significant impact on the future of the country. If Trump wins re-election, it is likely that he will continue to pursue his agenda of deregulation, tax cuts, and a strong military. He is also likely to continue to challenge the legitimacy of the media and judiciary. If the Democrats win re-election, they are likely to pursue an agenda of expanding access to healthcare, investing in infrastructure, and addressing climate change. They are also likely to take steps to protect voting rights and to strengthen the rule of law. The role of the media in 2024 plays a significant role. They set the agenda, they frame the issues, and they shape public opinion. In 2024, the media is likely to be even more polarized than it was in 2020. This is because the country is more polarized than it has been in decades. The media is likely to be a major factor in the 2024 election, and they will need to be careful not to contribute to the polarization of the country. They will need to present both sides of the issues fairly and accurately, which is not always the case with American media. If the media can do this, however, they will be playing a positive role in the 2024 election. They would be helping to inform the public, and they would be helping to ensure that the election is fair. However, if the media cannot do this, as in the past, they could be a major factor in dividing the country even further. They could make it more difficult for people to have civil conversations about politics, and they could make it more difficult for people to come together and solve the problems that the country faces. That is why it is so important for the media to be responsible in the 2024 election compared to before. They need to be fair, they need to be accurate, and they need to be respectful. If the media can do this, they will be playing a good role in shaping public opinions in a balanced way. The 2024 election will be a test of American democracy. Trump has repeatedly attacked the legitimacy of the electoral process, and if Trump wins re-election, it could embolden him to continue. It could also lead to further polarization and division in the country. If the Democrats win re-election, they will be looking to take steps to protect the current electoral process and address the underlying causes of polarization and division in the country. Democrats say that the 2024 presidential election is a critical moment for American democracy, and that the outcome of the election will determine whether or not the democracy remains strong or whether it begins to erode. The 2024 presidential election is still a long way away, and it is impossible to say for sure who will win. However, based on the information that we have available, it is likely to be a very close race. Trump is a popular figure with many Republican voters, and he is likely to win the Republican nomination. The Democrats will need to nominate a strong candidate if they want to win in 2024. They will also need to turn out their base of support and convince independent voters to vote for them. Ultimately, it's down to the American people who will win. They need to make sure that they are voting for someone who shares their values and who will fight for their interests. The American people have a responsibility to participate in the political process. The future of America is uncertain. The country faces a lot of challenges, including economic inequality, political polarization, and climate change. The election is still a long way away, and it is impossible to say for sure who will win. However, based on the information that we have available right now, it is likely to be a close race. Trump is a popular figure with many Republican voters, and he is very likely to win the Republican nomination. The Democrats will need to nominate a strong candidate if they want to win in 2024. They will also need to turn out their base of support and convince independent voters to vote for them. Don't forget to follow us for more.